To our family by giving you guys these buttons. So just take one out of the bag.
Are our market. We love you guys.
Three over on the fucking.
I feel like a traitor.
Yeah, you have like a month out, huh? Is Heidi doing a lot of planning? Yeah. Oh.
Would you like a button?
Well, sure. Thanks. Nice audience bribery. You could stick it on your book bag or something. I'm taking care of this.
Okay, so I'm Armand.
I'm Anna.
I'm Priya.
I'm Marco. Jackson.
Aviv.
I'm Audrey.
And we're Bright. Okay. Or do I have to?
You should be okay.
Okay, so our goal for our company is to give you guys a pleasurable, relaxing, fun time with our candle.
For our visual library, we kind of took it as an idea board. So it has our ideas, putting our candle in a mason jar, our scent, lavender, our target market, the girls, and the rainbow and the crayons being our layers and colorful fun. Bright wasn't actually our first name, or that wasn't our first logo. Our first was Aurora, and it had a little candle at the bottom. We decided Bright was the best name for us because it was catchy and it fit right into our slogan, looking bright, smelling right.
Okay, moving on to our target market. So, at the beginning, creation of our company, we wanted our market to be specifically teenage girls, preferably the older ones, like most of you guys up here. But anyway, we wanted to really target them specifically. So the question is, how did we outreach specifically to them? So some ideas we thought of were putting it in like the scented section of Macy's, in stores that teenage girls might frequent a lot, or like in Forever 21. I don't know if they would support our candle, but it's a possibility. And so a major idea we thought of was in kiosks at malls, because we have a small product range right now, and a kiosk is like a small spot that everyone can see, and we can really like up our publicity that way. Anyway, our competition. So as of right now, there are candle companies that have almost a product for almost every target market, so it's hard to compete in nowadays world. So like Diamond Candle's Glassy Baby for candle holders against our Mason Jar. Yankee Candle has Mason Jar candles. Bath and Body Works. So anyway, a little grid. We did some research for units for like Mason Jar candles, candle holders, stuff that would be relevant to our Mason Jar candle, would be relevant competition, and we discovered this is our candle, and this is prices for other candles, Glassy Baby candle holders being the highest, and our candle actually being the lowest in price. So our edge was that our candle is not only is affordable, like less in price than our competition, but it's also desirable because it's an aesthetically pleasing candle. And also for the future, we expect our company to have a custom colors pre-order set that people can create their own colors and order the candles the way they like. So that's our edge over our competition.
So, in the beginning, we decided we were going to have a multi-layered candle that was going to have different colors in each layer. And so we went out and we surveyed people and we asked girls if they would like this candle. And one of the most important things was scent, because we didn't plan on having a scent, but we went out and we asked people if they would buy the candle if it had a different scent. And most people said vanilla or lavender. So that was a big part of our candle, or it's a big part of our candle right now. People really liked the layers, so we kept that. And we weren't planning on having our candle in a mason jar, but a lot of girls 15 to 17 years old decided that they would buy our candle and like it more within a mason jar, so we decided to put it in a mason jar. Once we made the final candle, they really liked the appearance of the mason jar. And we asked them where they would like to buy it, and a lot of girls said they would like it in like a specialty store like Glassy Baby or in a farmer's market. So we decided to expand into like farmer's markets. Everyone liked the name Bright in our logo. And a lot of girls said they would buy it as a treat for themselves.
Okay, so moving on to the actual product. So our original design was the colored wax layers that you can kind of see here. And we would say that it would have a white layer on the outside to illuminate the color that's burning and to kind of hide the other colors so you can't see the rest of them until they're burned. And then we're gonna have scents that would match each layer. So grape for purple, cherry for red, orange for orange, things like that. So that as you burn the candle, you would have a different scent for each layer. And then we also had the idea of having a colored flame. So we're gonna use different chemicals, different metals to have a different colored flame for each layer. So that's kind of the idea. This was our original prototype, and we didn't have all the different aspects in this one. We really just wanted to test the layers to see how they would look. And even though we burnt it down to see how they worked, we thought that the layers looked pretty good. Then product changes. So we did not use the colored flame idea because the different metals, we tested copper chloride and it gave off kind of an unpleasant smell. And besides that, the different color only lasted for a little bit of time and definitely did not burn at the speed of the wax. Another thing is we did not get to use the different scents because scents were expensive, around $40 to $50 for a little bottle like this. And we decided that that wasn't worth our time since we were only making a single prototype. And lavender was a customer favorite, and we had the lavender scent here, so we decided to use that one. And then the mason jar was a huge product change. We thought, well, according to our different interviews, the increases the aesthetic appeal, which we thought as well. It looks much better than the original prototype. And then it also kind of has a double purpose because it acts as packaging. So you don't have to have this in a box that would be kind of moving around. We could just have it in this better looking mason jar. And then on top of that, it keeps the wax from spilling. All the wax will kind of stay in here, and some of the wax will be burned, obviously. So you'll still get to see the different colors. And then our final design, so it still has the colored wax layers, and it has the white wax layer on the outside. It wasn't as white as we were expecting, but it definitely does make it a little bit more of a mystery. The colors do, it still makes the burning color illuminate. So, for instance, they all kind of like boring colors right now, a little more plain. But as you burn the candle, the yellow will become brighter when you get to that one, blue will become brighter as you get to that one, and so on. And here's the picture of that. And then, for packaging.
So packaging, we split up into 3 different aspects. First aspect is shipping, second aspect is storefront, and third aspect is individual, so in your own home. So as it's shipped out in bulk to the storefront, it will be in a crate for also be 12. And once in the store, you decide to bulk it like that, or have our sleeve an individual storefront. So it would be layered, like packed in the back, or so it's aesthetically appealing. So once it is in someone's home, they have the sleeve and they can take it off. And so the mason jar acts as a packaging, and there's still the Bright logo. So we have on our card, so we decided to use a sleeve, and we have our slogan in the back, and our colors are for each layer as in the candle. For future, if there is a custom colors, this will be a different label packaging. So It says multicolored candle, looking bright, smelling right. Keep burning this candle to reveal each colored layer. And ingredients, paraffin wax, colored tablets, and string wick. So it's very simple and easy. So yeah, it's part of it, packaging. So the main ideas of the mason jar are, so it gives it a different appeal, it's a different thing to look at. The top is water sealing, and then, so.
Financials. So our financials were relatively simple. We knew we would have the edge on other companies if we kept our price low. So our fixed cost doesn't really take much to make a candle. The biggest fixed cost was the hot plate that it would take to heat up the wax to make the candle, and that's about like $220. But then the candle mold is only like $8, and all the heating containers together would cost around $20. What we didn't account for was space for our company, because that's kind of hard to research, but our total lunch running costs only came down to $248. The production costs, we again wanted to keep really, really low so that we could keep our overall product price pretty low. So the mason jar and the wicks and the wax dye was the most expensive part of our production costs, and our labor is relatively cheap because we can just make a bunch of candles at the same time with more molds. So our profit, we decided to set, just like mark up our price by like 50%. We're at like around $6 because it only cost us $3.80 to make our candle. So that's pretty low. And this graph shows here that this is the green line is our fixed cost, and our profit is the purple line, which is the red line, our revenue subtracted by the blue line, the cost of production. So as you can see, it would take approximately like 115 candles to break through our fixed cost. So we were able to keep all of our prices pretty low. And we interviewed a couple of people and asked them if you would buy this candle for like $1 through $10. And most people said that they would buy it for around $6 or $7, as you can see here, and how much it would cost us to produce all these candles. And we thought that we could sell about $100 in stores such as like Lassie Baby, in around like a month and a half, or a couple of weeks.
So our future of the company includes making more candles more like at the same time. It took a long time to just make one candle, but if we had more equipment, we can make multiple at the same time. So our packaging needs to be improved. All packaging should be improved. So just to improve the grade, improve the aesthetics, improve our labeling, and make it more eye-catching. And as from our interviews, we need to include more scents. We could do scents for each layer. We can change up the scent. We can make it just one or more exotic scents. Also, something in the future is we can expand our market. Right now, it's from 15 to 17-year-old high school girls. This is a fun candle, and it could be used for families. It could be gifts for couples. There's really no boundaries. So we would need to expand our publicity, like more storefronts, more labels, and just to catch the eyes of people like us.
Questions or comments?
Hey, good job. Good job getting this together. It's a little bit of a rough road, along the way for you guys. This is a group I think that definitely had some issues in terms of getting on the same page, and some of that was because some of you are really pragmatic and have strong ideas of what to do. Some of you are fairly free driven, like to kind of work within the box that you're sort of given. And a couple of you guys are a little bit passive, I think, at times. So that confluence made it a little bit hard for you guys to kind of get motivated. It's a good presentation and it's a good product. It came together. The presentation comes a little bit across a little bit apologetic, I think. And so what I would urge you guys to do, if you're in a situation like this again, which you are going to be, where you're worried that maybe it didn't come together the way that you wanted it to come together, I would go for it. You know, I would really put yourself out there, and this is a group of people in particular that I or the adults would let you know if you overstepped it. You know what I'm talking about. The people would go for it and you're like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. You guys need to take that kind of risk and go for it a little bit. So what that means in terms of the presentation is less on the process. Like, we don't care about Aurora, you know, we don't care. Hit us at the beginning with like, it's a multi-level candle. It took a long time for that to kind of come out. Make it fun. Like, how is it fun? Like, the pitch that you gave at the beginning, that was the right idea. Like, more of that, I think, would kind of bring this together. Like, we're bright and it's fun. I think it needs some kind of demonstration of how it actually works. And you probably ran out of time on that, but you know, if your selling point is that the candles change color as they go, that would be a really, really important thing to show us. You know, that it actually does that, because we kind of buy it. And then, like, you know, going for it, I think I would really like take the product and get a decent product, figure out who to target it towards, and really go after them. I think what you've got going for you guys is that you are a super pragmatic group. Like, you get stuff done, like you really, really do. You guys are not exorbitant risk takers, which can be a good thing, you know, in a marketing world. Like, you got a product, you understand who you're going to go after. You're not going to maybe go too far, and maybe if I'm an investor who is looking for a low risk return, you know, I can see you guys kind of getting out there and pitching the product in some case and getting a foothold. But the way it is right now, I don't see it going really far, which would be my concern, you know, as an investor. Like, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it. But really, you're probably going to sell 10 or 15 of them, and then you're probably going to go on and do your next project. So that would be my worry kind of as an investor, the way it came across this year. But I think what is not clear to the rest of us is the fact that you did have some serious group dynamic issues kind of trying to get on the same page. So if I said to you guys, okay, you know, you really need to go big, what would that mean for each of you in terms of how you would do that?
Well, Audrey kind of mentioned it, just the idea of the customizable colors, and you know, we didn't get to it in our prototype, but having the different scents to match each color was a huge part of our original idea. We just didn't have the materials or time to really test all of that, and I think that if we really got around to making a few different models with different scents and colors, then we can show how we expect our product to really expand.
I think we have the steps. So we have a aesthetically pleasing candle and a candle that is like cheaper than the rest of our competition. And for 15 to 17-year-old girls who are teenagers, we don't really make that too much money, and so it's an affordable candle, which means that that's our like niche, and that people will buy our candle. To just expand into smaller stores, to it's like going to be something that will be passed around through like girls. Like, I was saying, hey, this is like our candle, I really like it, you should get it too. And it's a giftable item, and that's something that can go really far.
Also, creating a website where you can customize your own, which is one of the things that we were talking about, will also like bring a big edge to our company.
I also think that we set up our product in a way that there's like a platform where there's just so many possible ideas with the colors and like how they like lay on each other, and there was an idea of maybe the wax on the outside of that inner candle being white, so you don't actually know what the order of the colors is or what they are, so you have to burn it to find out. So like more ideas and possibilities would definitely come with expansion.
Yeah, I think I like your original idea of going with the white on the outside and really making that happen and making that fun. I think could be, you know, a way to kind of approach it. All right. Hi, there are a couple people who came in. I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Daniel Markowitz, medical oncologist. We have many candles in our office. So I was just sort of wondering, in addition to the market of just the teenage girls, there's lots of different markets. There's also institutions. Are there any institutions that you can imagine that would say, hey, I want to buy not one candle, but 150 candles? Is there any sort of, whether it's colleges or whatever, any institutions that you think might actually buy into, oh, I want a purple and gold, or I want to whatever. Once you start customizing colors, are there institutions that would actually pick this up and go, hey, you've got the price point on everybody, let's go do it?
there's institutions such as like yoga, like gyms or whatever, and places that like encourage like a really calming environment for their customers. So I think like a company that like has that maybe like in a reception room or something would really like this kind of candle in the room to just give that calm environment for their customers to be.
With the customizable colors, you could go to institutions like sports, Seahawks or Sounders, like with the green and blue, just like ideas about the customizable colors can go anywhere.
And that's what we thought was so cool about the colors, was because we really could reach out to any market. We just have to really take the time and try to learn about that market and the customers in that market. And we think we could really target any market we thought would be the best.
I have to say, I love the mason jars because their candles are a mess usually. If this thing is like self-contained, when you want it on, you want it on, when you want it off, you can't. Love it.
I'm Connie Wallen. I apologize for being late, and I came in late to your presentation. I apologize for that, so I missed the meat and bones of it, so I'm sorry.
You want to go ahead, Nate?
I'm so happy that you guys found a name that you liked. I think Bright is a wonderful name. And I would have liked to see on your shipping crate a little bit more of a brand presence. There's a lot you can do with the size of that shipping crate if you're really planning on rolling that into the market that you're selling it in. I like the innovative use of the label, which is really fun. And I'm just looking at your presentation here, and I know that it's black and white, and so the reproduction of it isn't so great. But when you show pie charts, I think it would be great to show different textures as opposed to colors of the pie charts, because when it reproduces in black and white, it's hard to see which color is which. So you could use like striped polka dots or something else so that I can very clearly see which section of the pie chart represents what information.
To respond, for our packaging, that was just our prototype. We didn't get to it all.
Oh, yeah.
So we were planning on, that's one of our changes, we're planning on
Yes,
really redesigning the whole thing.
yes, and I noted that in the end, so that's great that you're thinking that way.
And going along with what Megan's saying with the packaging, you guys are marketing a colorful candle that if you hold, can you guys hold up one of the candles? I mean, if it's sitting on a shelf, you can't see that it's colorful, right? Because what you're covering up with the sleeve. The sleeve's a great idea, but maybe the sleeve itself would be the same colors as whatever the candle is below it. And then even the jar, maybe you would try and use if it was all one color, it'd be great, but you're trying to kind of separate them. Maybe a jar that wasn't textured, like just a straight mason jar or something. But I'm just thinking about, your name is Bright, and you're talking about colors and everything like that, and your label, the covering, the box, your shirts, like everything's like white, right? And I understand we're talking about more of a prototype idea, but I'm thinking like, I associate white with kind of like Crate and Barrel or like weddings or stuff like that. And I'm thinking if you're marketing kind of the teenage girl, maybe you jump out with, it's bright. Maybe it should be an explosion of colors.
The reason,
yeah, go ahead.
The reason we did the white and like the white t-shirts and everything was because our plan was to have a white layer on the outside of the different colors so that it's kind of a surprise, and that as you burn the candle, a different color would show up and be really bright and be illuminated by the white layer. Unfortunately, we didn't get to really get the white layer down during our prototype, but that'd definitely be something possible and would be a part to our...
That would be an awesome idea. Like that really would, that like totally answers everything that I'm asking.
The design of the mason jar itself, we actually were thinking about changing it over to a more original classic mason jar, but we obviously interviewed a bunch of people and we were told that the diamond shaped.
Right. So like maybe maybe the actual, because you're saying if you were able to get the outside to be white, right, like a layer of wax that was all white,
Yeah.
Then the whole thing looks white with a white label. Maybe the label itself could be the thing that's kind of popping out, that's showing color, or the sleeve or whatever else. But I do like that idea. It's kind of cool.
So I was curious, a couple things. So you guys did a great job showing visuals on what your market wanted and what their preferences were. I'm kind of curious on what sort of testing you guys did to get the candle to be what it is, and specifically what kind of challenges you guys had. It sounds like you were saying you wanted to have the white outer layer, so what sort of challenges did you have and why that didn't come through?
Well, I can definitely speak to that, because originally the plan was to have that colored flame, but we ran into the problem where all of the ionic compounds with metals that make colored flames are all they're all polar versus paraffin wax is non-polar. So in chemistry, then those don't mix at all. So we experimented with a bunch of different methods to try to get that to mix into the wax, such as putting the metals in the wax. But when the wax became heated by the candle, it all just sank to the bottom of the melted wax, and we experimented with putting it in the wick, but that only burned for like approximately 3 minutes. It didn't really hold that color. So that was a major issue, and we kind of had to dump that idea of our candle. Also, when you make the candle, you have to do the layers really slowly because you have to wait for the whole layer to dry before you put another color on. And we experimented with different like thicknesses of wicks, like 1 wick, 2 wick, and 3 wick. But the problem was with 2 and 3 wicks is that you get more like it's like a much larger burn with more wicks, and like black smoke comes out of like 3 wicks and 2 wicks, so it just kind of burns too fast.
And also we had a problem with our first prototype, it imploded, so that was one of the challenges, like a very downside. So it was just taking more time, Marco and Jackson were working on that for the majority.
And lastly, there's a lot of experimenting going on for the majority of the project through the way we make our colored wax. We take clear paraffin wax and we melt it down, and then we put a non-polar dye in it. But we didn't know how much dye to actually put in. So what would happen for a while is the candles we would make, the colors would be like either cracked or would have some problem with them. They wouldn't be like straight, solid colors. So we had to do a lot of experimenting around that to get a standard of how much dye we put in to create a solid color that stayed solid.
And how did you get, so you had a little bit, it looks like the candle has a little bit of white on the outside. How did you get, not that one, but in the jar, how did you get the white there, and how could you maybe make it more effective?
Well, we actually, it was a huge process. It looks more simple now, but it was a huge process to really get how are we going to make the candle, really the procedure set. And so we'd have a mold, and we'd put one color in, wait for the whole thing to dry, another color in, dry, and then 2 more until you had 4 colors. And then once you had that cylinder, which is kind of like this, but 4 colors, and the obviously perfected amount of tablets. And then once we had all that, we would just kind of suspend it in the mason jar with a rod to keep it above, and then we pour the wax in. And we didn't realize at the time, but the clear wax that we used there, we thought it was white wax because it had been, when it dries in a larger amount, it looks white. So we thought it would have the same kind of effect, but unfortunately, with our last prototype, we didn't have time to make a whole nother one, so we just had the clear. But we could definitely get some white tablets, just like the different colored ones, to put in there.
I was wondering, can you take the candle, is it possible to take the candle out of the mason jar, like if someone has a fancy candle holder?
No, the idea was that the candle would be contained, so it's safe against flame, and then also the drippings would just stay in the mason jar, so there's little impact.
And that the jar would kind of act as that glass aspect, kind of like Glassy Baby, but a little bit different.
Yeah.
I was wondering, did you ever try to illuminate through the candle without burning it? Because in terms of display in a store, you can't have a flame. But if you could display this brightness by providing the shop owner with this display case that comes with your candles and the bright light behind it, you might be able to project what you're actually doing to the customer and catch their eyes are going by. So I just was wondering, do they transilluminate, or is it too thick a wax to get really
Well, our plan is to make it thicker so that you can't see them at all, so that it's more of a mystery. but to really show the colors and like so they actually believe that there's colors on the inside, we definitely have some kind of video or picture of the burning candles. And that's what we were lacking in this presentation, was just the actual burning of the candle.
They let them burn candles.
Yeah, you mean here? Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the idea of a video.
Yeah.
Even like you could have really fun with us and do like a cartoon like here goes the first color, here goes the second, here goes the third, here goes the white, here's like the girl like smiling like that look good, light it on fire like whoa, you know, like something like that. I don't know.
In terms of your cost and stuff, you guys mentioned that like $5.99 was what you were gonna. Is that you were like wholesale? What you're gonna sell it to somebody at? What do you sell it to the stores or your kiosk at? Is it cheaper if somebody buys a whole crate? Did you guys get into that, or was it all just kind of $5.99 was your cost that you sold to whoever it was?
We focused on just our cost. In our interviews, we asked if people would buy it in bulk, and not many people said yes, so we didn't focus on the financials of buying in bulk. But to keep it the most affordable price, it would be $5.99 with profits.
So if you sell direct to the consumer, $5.99.
Yes.
If you sell to a store at $5.99, do you know how much of a markup that store would expect to have, and how much a consumer would be willing, how much more a consumer would be willing to pay?
We wouldn't know the exact markup, but considering our competition, I feel like people would still buy our candle. The next one up was $6.50.
That's for a candle holder.
Adding on to that, from the research that we did with how much people would pay for the candle, it was in the range from like $5 to $6. If like a store would be buying a bunch to sell in their store, like we could sell a bunch to them at like $5 instead of $6 because we'd be making a lot more money because it's in bulk, so we'd be making more at the same time.
So in increasing your volume, you'd be selling it cheaper,
Yeah.
but hopefully selling more.
And they would have a little bit more wiggle room with how much they could write in their store.
Could you guys keep up with that production?
Yeah, I mean, it's just scaling up the more updates, more goals, and
Which is more of your fixed cost.
yeah, more
Fixed costs would go up,
Right.
But
more
we
like.
try to keep all those relatively low so that we can keep our advantage with our price.
There's, did I miss, the discussion on the wick and where you
Yeah.
ended up with the
Yeah.
research on the wick?
Well, like as I mentioned, like we experimented with 2 wicks twisted together and
Yeah.
3 wicks braided together.
Or the coloring, there was a color component
yeah.
to it?
Yes, so we soaked, we put copper chloride in ethanol and soaked the wick in that ethanol with copper chloride for a while. So when we burned the wick with the paraffin wax of the candle, it worked really well for about 3 minutes, but then all the ethanol ran out of the wick.
It also smelled a little bit, so it wasn't that.
Yeah, and it just get a little bit of sparks.
So that's no longer a product?
No, because I also did some research, and the only candles that all have colors are like petroleum jellies or
First of all, I would buy one. Like, I really like them. I'd buy them. Also, I'd buy them over a Glassy Baby. And I don't know if that's just because of my age and Glassy Babies are like $45, but I think the fact that like the candle is the cool part is better than just like a glass thing with a little votive in it. And yeah, and you get a mason jar. And I think you hit your original target demographic really well, but again, I can also see your market expanding, because I think for me the coolest thing about these candles is the customizing idea, and I think that's not even like a far goal. I mean, you're there. Like, these could have been customized candles and you could have made them for people, but I think that's the best way that you could expand your market. But I also think that you should have, I mean, obviously there'd be candles that aren't already customized, but I think a website component would be a big part of the business, because I can see like ads for it online, like customize your own candle and they'll send it to you in a mason jar or something. Also, I have a random little question. The buttons, would you sell them? Or is it just sort of like
We thought it'd be like a little fun thing, just to like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I just have a comment, but I also really like them and I definitely buy one. But personally, I like my candles really big. And I think if you could get like one of those big mason jars and make a candle, I'd go for that. Like the cute ones are small, but I like the big ones where I can like go by my back or something.
Yeah, definitely going into the future, like if we had a website, you could choose the size of your mason jar because there are different sizes of mason jars and you can probably customize it to whatever you want.
I'd love to see an iPhone app and an iPad app that would go along with your website.
Yeah, we definitely think there's a lot of options with the customizable colors and stuff like that. We just, yeah, we didn't quite get to it because we knew it was possible, but it would just take a lot of time to research really what that would all take to have a website and app and all the kind of things that go into that.
Plus there's holiday marketing, What is an easy way to give a gift to somebody? Valentine's Day, oh shoot, click,
that was
she likes blue and gold.
That was our initial idea, actually.
But for the purpose of presentation, you don't need to develop the entire app, but you can show a sample of, screenshot. There's a screenshot of the customizing page, there's a screenshot of it on your iPad, there's a screenshot of it on your phone, just not even a real one, but for presentation purposes, it would be great.
That's true, you could have made a PowerPoint, it's pretty easy to do
Yeah,
that.
or not even a working
Yeah.
thing, just a screenshot, just an example of what that visual looks like.
Well, I do have to say, one of the things, having been in startups before, 95% of them all die because of their financials. And you do have a big advantage if you are really going to cut the price on everybody. It's not sexy, but it is a winning formula. So I think you could do it. I think your challenge is, from my perspective, is how you scale up. Because right now your labor costs are pretty small, and you scale up, you've got to figure out how those labor costs are going to scale. But price is king often.
Maybe one more question? Okay, cool. Thank you guys.